Hello and welcome to Sheffield Board Gamers Podcast. My name is Rick. This is episode 60 and I'm joined this month by a very special guest. I've got Lizzy with me. Hello, Lizzy.
Hi.
Hello, thanks for coming on again. It's good to talk to you.
No problem. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it? Yeah. We are going to talk about some of the games that we've been playing recently. So we've got that coming up, some of the board games which we've played at the club. We've got a topic which is painting miniatures. We're going to talk about painting, and Lizzy's going to give us some expert tuition. I think, hopefully.
On the radio.
But before that, just going to have a quick chat about stuff we've been doing recently. So I've just recently booked my tickets for Aircon in March to the Harrogate one. So I went for the first time last year and really enjoyed it. I had a great time. I went on my own, but I met up with a few people, saw a few people from the club there that I knew, so I chatted to them. And they make it really easy to kind of play with strangers. So even if you're going on your own, you can still, jump into games, and they're bringing by and the events and things that are happening. So there's plenty to do. So yeah, I was really impressed and I really had a good time. So I've booked my ticket.
Which Aircon did you go to?
That was the Northwest in Manchester. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Cool. We didn't go to that one last year.
Oh right. Yeah. Apparently it was very similar to the Harrogate one, but it was a little bit smaller. Fewer people there. I know Tom and the other Tom have both been to the main one a few times, and they were doing a quick comparison. Yes. But he seemed busy enough. I mean, it was a massive hall, and obviously filled full of gamers. It was a full weekend. So, from my point of view, I haven't been before. It was big enough, but it was really good. Yeah, I had a great time.
Great. I got my tickets this week as well, actually, just a few days ago. So yeah, that's exciting.
Are you stopping over, or are you?
I'll be there
commuting?
Thursday to Sunday.
I thought about doing that. I kind of live north of Sheffield, near Barnsley, so it's not quite as far for me to travel. It'd probably take about an hour and 20 minutes, something like that, from where I am. So I'm kind of contemplating whether to maybe get a train or go in the car, or whether I do need to stop over. I booked. I'm not coming on the Thursday because I think that starts a bit later, so I'm missing the Thursday. But I've got Friday, Saturday, Sunday booked.
Yeah, Thursday is really there's just a lot of open gaming that's open, and the bring and buy is open. So if you're putting stuff into the bring and buy, then it's useful to do all of that on Thursday, and then you just don't need to worry about it on Friday. It's just all sorted out. So we generally go quite late on Thursday, and get all of that stuff done. You can get your lanyard, all that sort of stuff sorted out, and then just play if you get the libraries open on Thursday. So you can get stuff out and play it, but there won't be any proper stuff happening. You organise things. That's all Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. Yeah, maybe Thursday's the quieter day, where it starts a bit later and stuff. So I can probably give that one a miss.
But
yeah, I'm looking forward to going and see what it's like and doing a comparison between that one and the Manchester one.
It will be a bit bigger. If you thought of Manchester was quite big, then. But yeah, it's still really nice. It is very friendly, and they have a great system for getting everybody involved. They're really sort of keen on making everybody feel welcome, and they have a lot of ways that you can get people to play with you. They've got lightsabers that you can put up if you're looking for somebody else to join the game, and people do that. And there's this Facebook group, I think, where people going on their own can join and meet people that way. And there's a set area where they can go and get together to play games. So they're really up on the kind of social side of it. A lot more than the UK Games Expo, which is intimidating and massive, but still good in its own way. Well, it's very exciting. It'd be great to.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I did another math trade recently. So this is where it's organised by a group on Board Game Geek, and it's kind of a game swap. But you don't just swap with one person, you swap with somebody else, and then they give their game to somebody else, then they give you something else. So it kind of goes around like that. It's calculated out.
Right.
So
spreadsheets.
Yeah, it's quite complicated how they figure it. And, there's usually at the end once everybody's picked, there's usually a few recalculations because people have done something wrong or something's not quite right. But I managed to pick up a few games that I was interested in. Got rid of a couple that I played that I didn't really want to keep hold of. I've been having a bit of a cold recently, actually. Obviously, we're into the new year now. We're having a bit of a spring clean, so I've got rid of a few games that I've either not played or so probably about 10 games only about another 50 to go, and I can have some room back.
Are you going to take any to Aircon to put in the bring and buy?
I don't think so. No, I probably should organise. Yeah, something.
That's my main sort of cull every year is normally Aircon.
Is it online or an app or something? You just have to register them and drop them off. Is that
the bring and buy? Yeah, there's a on their website you have to log in, and then you can write which games you're putting in, how much you're selling it for, and then when you turn up with the games, they print out a load of barcodes and you stick them on the games. So when people take it to the counter, it will be put onto your account that they owe you that much money. So then once you go and collect your money, they'll work out which of your games they've managed to sell and give you the money, and you have to find the other ones and take them out. It works really well. It's really easy to do. So that's my main thing every year.
Might check that out then. Yeah, might give that a go. Yeah,
and there is a Facebook group as well, where you can post games that you're going to take with you.
Okay.
So that's really useful for games which are really big and you don't want to take unless somebody's definitely going to buy it. So that can be, I've already sold one game like that somebody wants to buy one of the big campaign games that I got off Kickstarter that I never even took out of Frink, embarrassingly. But somebody wants one of those, so that's great, because putting that in the bring and buy would be crazy. So that is really useful as well, to find people and looking at it to buy stuff as well, which is the dangerous thing, because then you start looking at it, what's everyone else? You end up saying, now I've technically sold that, so I can spend that money now on other stuff that people put. I'll take that. It's good. So it's dangerous in that sense.
Yeah, there is a bit of a risk there, isn't there?
yeah.
So that's what I've been up to. You've been up to anything over the past month or so?
Well, I actually sold a couple of games there was a little convention that the Crooks and Crosspool tabletop gaming people did at the Crooks Social Club. I can't remember if it was last weekend or the weekend before. A friend of mine had a book to the table for the bring and buy, and so we set up shop there for a couple of hours with all of our stuff. And I managed to sell a couple of games during that, which was pretty good. And my friend sold loads, but he was brutal with his pricing. So, but he managed to get rid of quite a lot of stuff. Yeah, that was fun. It was a really nice little convention. It wasn't big, because the hall in the social club is massive. There were a lot of tables set up with kind of war games. They do a lot of miniatures there rather than board games. They were a lot more into the Warhammer side of things. So they had a bunch of different games set up that you could join in and play. A bunch of people were playing board games as well. They've got quite a nice library there. They had a big kind of hotel sort of trolley thing full of games that people could borrow and play those. So, and then there were a bunch of people who turned up with games to sell, and it was really nice. They were all really friendly there. So the guy who runs it seems really friendly. He was very welcoming and chatting to people. So it seems like a nice place. But they normally meet on Thursday evenings, and I can't do Thursdays anymore. So so I can't normally go to their meetings, but it seems like a really nice place if you want to.
I saw that kind of advertised on Facebook, and it looked really interesting. Unfortunately, I was busy on that day, so I couldn't make it. But I would have gone otherwise. So hopefully they'll
make it a regular thing.
I can go to that one and see what it's like. But sounds good.
We just have a bit more little conventions in Sheffield. There's ChillCon as well, which I've been to, but again that was all miniatures as well. There was a lot of like scenery and paints and that kind of thing, but it was a nice little con. But it was good. I went to it once, and it was nice. I picked up a bunch of scenery, I think, secondhand, and they had kind of bring and buy for scenery. So I picked up some really random bits and pieces in bags for cheap. But it was good. If you're looking for that sort of thing, it's definitely worth checking out.
So it's 2025 now. We're living in the future. We've got another year under our belts. I've actually got some stats from Game Geek, so I record and plays, so I could go through some of these. I don't think I've played as many games last year as I have in previous years. I think it's been a bit of a slow year. But,
that's definitely true for me.
So I've played 234 different plays, which is less than one per day, but 166 different games in total.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Played a few multiple times, but obviously going to the club, I played a lot of games just once. Because a lot of times I'll go down on a Tuesday, we'll play something, and then we'll never see it again, and then we'll move on to something else. So there's quite a lot of ones in there. These are all physical plays as well. These are all on the table in-person plays. So I don't usually record Board Game Arena or anything like that, or solo plays. First game that I played in 2024 was Ticket to Ride Legacy.
Oh, right,
I think that was the one that we got over Christmas. We ordered. So we played through that at the start of the year. That was really good. Enjoyed that. And then the last game that I played in 2024 was Azul. The old classic.
Classic Azul.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, just the original one. I haven't played it in ages. Sometimes, you know, when you play a game and you really like it, and then you don't play it for a year or two, and then you go back to it and you think, yeah, that was really good. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
That's what happened
it's
with
so
Azul.
easy to
Forgot how good it was.
Get distracted, playing new games. Sometimes you're like, oh, I really like that, so I'll put that on the shelf and keep it, and and then you never get around to playing it again.
Yeah. Most played game was Splendor Duel, 9 players.
Right. Okay.
So we played that with Tracy.
I haven't played the Duel version yet.
Weekends. It's really good. Yeah, it's a lot better than Splendor, I think.
I've heard that.
I like Splendor anyway.
Say that.
Yeah, but it's pretty good. Second most played, this is a strange one, So Clover. I don't own that game. This is just purely played of other people's game at the club, but
if I had stats, game. That would be very high up for me. They really like playing that at work. That's one that they've really got. We play it in teams. We'll play like two people with one clover, or 2 or 3 people with one, and sort of figuring out what to put in there. Yeah, they love that game. I've played that with loads of different groups. I played it with my mum. There were very few games that my mum will play. She's one of those people who go, oh no, it's too complicated for me. No, I'll just set out and you play. But no, she got the hang of that one. She really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a good family game, and like I say, if you're playing in teams, it's kind of cooperative as well. You're working with other people.
It's barely a game, really. It barely counts. You can just watch people play. Like, okay, I get the hang of it. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, but yeah, it's such a nice little game.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So you do you have any? You don't record you haven't been recording your players over the past year, so you don't have any stats or anything. You just
No, I just have to guess.
Do you know? Yeah, come on, any guesses?
Trio would be another one which would go in the same camp as So Clover. I've played a lot of Trio with different groups of people. I played that at Christmas as well.
Card game, like a card game.
Yeah. It's a very simple game. It's just a deck of cards. I can't remember what the numbers are. The numbers go from like 1 to 9 in 4 suits, I think. No, it must be 12. 1 to 12 in 4 suits, and you each have cards in front of you, and then there are a bunch of cards face down on the table, and you all have to put your cards in number order from lowest to highest, and then on your turn you can ask somebody what their highest card is or what their lowest card is, or you can turn over a card that's on the table face down. So if you've asked somebody that, they might put down their lowest card, which happens to be a 2, and then you can keep asking questions until you get a card which is a different number. So you might have a 2 yourself, so you could ask yourself the question, what's my lowest card, and put down a 2.
Right, yeah.
And if you happen to have another 2, then your lowest card would still be a 2, and you could ask yourself again, what's your lowest card? And once you've got 3 cards, that's the name Trio, of the same number, then you win that trick essentially. So you take those cards and keep them. So it's a memory game really, of watching what people ask and where the cards are, and trying to remember what the person you write, what their highest card was. Was it a 10? Was it a 12? Was there a 12 on the table? And it's just hilarious because how bad people are at remembering this stuff. Because somebody will literally ask you the question, "What's your highest card?" and you put it down, and then 2 seconds later they'll be like, "Oh, what was your highest card? Where was that 9? Hang on a minute, somebody had a 9. Who was it? I can definitely do this." And everyone's like, "Yeah, you definitely can. Yeah, you don't remember, do you?" But yeah, it's just hilarious how little you remember. But it's a great game. It's another of those games that's really simple. There are very few rules to it, as long as you have the cards in the right order. It's really easy to get the hang of, and people can play. So that's another one that I've played. We played it at conventions quite a lot. You can play it with loads of people. I don't remember how many it goes up to, maybe 5 or 6. And at work, we played it at Christmas. It's just so easy to pick up and play a couple of rounds. It doesn't take long at all, and it takes 5-10 minutes to play.
All right,
that was another great one that I played. I played loads of little party games.
Any highlights? Any ones that stand out to you?
Well, you must have talked about Harmonies, surely. I love Harmonies.
I think Samuel talked about it on one of the podcasts. Yeah.
Yes,
I've not played it, but yeah.
Really? Wow. I'll have to bring it to the club. So I keep wanting to play with people. Have you played it yet? Let's play Harmonies. I still haven't got my husband to play it, even though he loves Cascadia. And he's sort of refusing to play Harmonies. I keep saying it's better. And he refuses to believe that this is possible. But it's a beautiful game. And it's sort of, I love that sort of the three-dimensionality that it is. Have you played Cascadia?
Yeah.
Where you're kind of you're building a grid of different kinds of animals. So they're basically tokens of different colours, but they're animals. And but in Cascadia, in Harmony, you're also building up. So in 3 dimensions, you can build little pillars. So you can build trees, which are 2 brown discs followed by a green one. So you can build little bushes or little trees, and you're trying to build this grid of different patterns, trying to make different patterns to score points, basically. And it's just really interesting how it all works, trying to work out how can I build this pattern several times on one grid. So you're kind of trying to spatially work out how can I fit this in. I want to fit this pattern in 3 times ideally, and trying to get a combo with another card which wants you to make a similar pattern, which uses some of the same things but in a slightly different way, so you get even more points out of the same stuff. So it's a lovely little puzzle of trying to work out how to fit all of this into what's quite a small area where you're trying to build all of these things. But the theme really works as well, of like I said, trying to build the trees where you can build little buildings, and there are kind of city animals like the foxes and stuff, like you're building buildings, and they give you points. Yeah, it's just a beautiful game. I would definitely, anybody who likes Cascadia, I would definitely recommend it. The one thing that Cascadia kind of, after a while, essentially all of the different animals work in a very similar way. They're slightly different. The cards that you get for each animal are only slightly different. With the bears or whatever, you're trying to build either groups of 2 or groups of 3. It's not radically different. So the game does feel quite similar each time that you play it. It is really I do still love the game. I would keep both. I wouldn't say that Harmonies completely replaces it, but it's definitely that kind of vibe. I think Cascadia is easier to learn as well, but yeah, anybody who enjoys Cascadia, I definitely recommend giving it a go.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah. So highlights for me: Foundations of Rome.
Oh, wow!
City building.
Wow. What, the actual
3D building?
The proper massive one, or the
big one?
They made a cheaper little version. Wow.
There is you can play the sort of board version Metropolis.
But I do like the plastic. Metropolis, isn't it? Yeah.
I do like the plastic buildings. Yeah, they are pretty good. But on top,
have you painted it?
I know
That's the next question.
It is sun dropped already. It's got the sun.
Oh wow! I'm not going to ask how much that cost.
Yeah, and it's a big box, but it's a brilliant game. I know it's got stupid bling on it and all the 3D building and everything, but it's metal coins and all that ridiculous Kickstarter stuff. But it is really a good game as well. I really enjoyed playing that a few times.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about it, but I've not had a chance to play it.
And then another one that I've played in 2024 was Cat in the Box. Which is another card game, trick-taking game, where the cards don't have suits. You kind of assign the suits as you're playing them. It's really clever and really not seen that before, but it's a really good fun game. You kind of bid on how many you think you win at the start of the round, and then assign the suits as you kind of play the cards, hoping not to bust. So that's a really good one. Any duds? Any that you've not enjoyed that you thought you might have?
That's a good question. Well, it would be really harsh for me to put ISS Vanguard in this camp, but in a sense, it's harsh. It's harsh. I feel bad for ISS Vanguard. I really do. This is a campaign game that we finished very recently, actually, which was the sort of spiritual successor to Tainted Grail, which I loved. I've definitely talked about before. So it's a really big sort of narrative, kind of choose your own adventure game. Really cool and great. And ISS Vanguard was the next one along by the same designer. What's his name? Krzysztof Piskolski from Awakened Realms. But it's in space, so it's more Mass Effect. It's that kind of vibe. It looks amazing. The story was really cool. It has a ship book where you're whenever you get upgrades for your ship, you track that as well. So you get like bridge upgrades and medical bay upgrades, and you can put things in engineering and research projects, and you get new extra cards and equipment and better stuff for the ship and landers, stuff like this. And that was all very cool. But the actual mechanics of the game, when you're walking around, you go down onto planets and you explore them, you're basically moving and doing a dice check. It's basically what you're doing all the time. Right. Just rolling a lot of dice. And it was just so frustrating that the game is so good in so many ways. Yeah. It looks really cool. And they put a lot of effort into that. But the mechanics are just rolling some dice, hoping for the best. and it was just the one thing that just really let me down, that there wasn't just that bit more mechanics to it, because you had cards, like you had deck, which you could change. You could put different cards into it, but essentially they were rerolls, and that was it. And you were playing different people as well. You all had like interesting backstories that you could read. Even some of them had like little plays that you could act out, and I get the other people that would go through this little play of like some stuff that happened. They could be really funny and really good, but their abilities were very similar and just slightly lacking. And it was, when a game is really good, but it could have been so much better with just a little bit more. But it's not terrible. I'm glad that I played it, and I did enjoy it. There were some amazing moments in it where stuff happens. It was like, oh my god, I did not see that coming at all, and completely changes the game. But yeah, it was just lacking slightly in something.
For me then, a few ones that I didn't really enjoy was Joyride. Everybody that I've sort of played it with really loves this game and enjoys it. What's the subtitle of it? Survival of the Fastest. It's kind of a racing game. It's a brilliant 45-minute game that takes 2.5 hours to play.
Right.
Which is my major gripe with it. Didn't really enjoy it, but it's similar with you, frustrating. I think it's a good game, and I think like a lot of people do really enjoy it, but just didn't really do anything for me. And then the other one that we played was Mists Over Carcassonne, the cooperative Carcassonne. So we love Carcassonne in our house, and we love cooperative games. Right. But this one was just a bit boring, really. We were expected to really like it, but played it a couple of times. I thought, is that it?
Oh.
Bit disappointed with that one as well.
Yeah, I really like cooperative tile-laying games. Have you played Beacon Patrol? There's a game that I played in 2024 that was really cool, which basically is cooperative Carcassonne. So maybe that's the game that you're looking for.
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
But you're building a coastline. You each play as different ships, and you start from beacons, and you're each building out this landscape. So you move your boat onto a new tile that you put down. So you're kind of moving around the landscape. You can't just put a tile anywhere. You have to map the area next to you, and the other player has a boat as well, and they're trying to map in the same way, and you're trying to put down beacons, which is what you get points for. So if you manage to surround a beacon or a lighthouse fully with tiles, then you get points for it. But obviously you can only put down a tile if it matches the coast that's around it. So you're trying to build things out so that it will work, and you can swap tiles with the other player that you're cooperating with to try and get, can you put that tile somewhere? Would this be useful to you? Because I can't do anything with this. And so you can swap stuff around, trying to build stuff out. It's a really interesting little game. I've got the expansion, but I haven't played it yet, which gives you have different kinds of boats. Like somebody can play with a hovercraft that can move over land, or the submarine, which does something with the discard pile, and stuff like that. So you have different, so you each work slightly differently.
Right, yeah.
I haven't got around to playing with that yet. But there you go. Maybe that will work for you.
Yeah, I might have to go. I'll dig that one out. I mean, another stat that I noticed as well, Seven Wonders, my favourite game, a drafting game. Didn't play it once in 2024. Not one time.
Wow.
So I'm going to have to rectify that, I think.
Do you think you're tired of it, or just the opportunity didn't get picked to play, that's all. It's a difficult one to play at two players, really, so we can't really play it like at the weekend if Trace is not working. Do you have to?
I think that's why we'd have to play it at the club or on the Sunday session or something.
Do you have Duel?
Played Duel a few times. Played Architects a few times in 2024, but not the best game. So I have had a little bit of Seven Wonders, which is good.
I like Seven Wonders. I was disappointed that I've tried playing it at work, because at work we often have 7 people, and they refuse to split into a 3 and a 4. They would insist on all playing a game together, which is very difficult to manage. So I was trying to think of like a proper game that we could play with 7 people, and obviously Seven Wonders. That's the games to play, but they hated it.
Really?
It was very sad.
Well, I've got the new version, the updated 2nd edition one with the shiny.
Right. Yeah, it looks nice.
Foil backs. It comes with a lot of player aids. It's got big player aids. It tells you what the chains are and what all the icons mean and things like that. So
right.
I think if you're introducing it to a new player, that'll definitely help a lot with that first kind of play of what do I do.
Yeah, the first time I played Seven Wonders, I can't remember, but either I just wasn't paying attention, or I just didn't get that there wouldn't be the same resources coming up in future years, like future eras.
Yeah, if you're not seeing the cards,
no. So in the second era, I was like, I understand now, and it is too late. Yes, I'm not building anything. Oh well, but yeah, that was my first game.
Yes,
but it's still a great game.
So that's my 2024. Anything else you want to add to that, or?
No, it's all right. No.
Yeah, okay. Shall we move on to the games that we've played recently then? Mm-hmm. So one that we played together at the club is Cthulu Death May Die. I think you might know a little bit more about this one, because I bought this online because it was in sale just after Christmas, and it's the latest version, which is Fear of the Unknown.
Right.
And I think you were mentioning
Kickstarter then, or was it the
no, it's just straight out of the retail. So it's just a standard kind of retail box. And I believe you were saying there's more, there's other boxes with different sort of stories in and different monsters and things.
Yeah, this is the third Kickstarter that they've done. So there was the original core set, which is the one that I have, which I bought retail actually. I didn't back the Kickstarter for this one. I got the core set, the original one from retail a long time ago. And then there was another Kickstarter, and then this is the newest Kickstarter. So there have been 3 different ones.
Right.
Yeah, so there's loads of it now.
And it's kind of a, how would you describe it? It's a dice chucking game, but kind of an exploration story game with fighting monsters and things. You pick a character and you build a map according to the scenario that you pick, and you pick an old one that you kind of play against, and his deck gets shuffled in with a standard deck, and you kind of play through a story kind of thing where you're trying to do something. The one that we picked,
trying to complete a ritual.
You're trying to stop that before the old one gets brought into reality, is it? Something like that, or it gets
summoned. Yeah,
summoned. Yeah. So
weirdly, you're trying to summon it essentially by stopping the ritual. You summon them early, so you kind of I never really understood how that worked. You think that stopping the ritual would stop them turning up, but no, it's the opposite. They come in early. Is that something that we really want? I don't know.
So you have a character that you level up, and you get extra equipment, and you get extra abilities and stuff. You fight monsters, and then this bad guy comes onto the board and you fight him. The one that we played was to do with a trial that was happening, and there were jurors on the board, and we had to get into a certain spot. And
I thought that was really cool. The scenario was really
outside and things like that. Yeah. So have you played much of your box then? Have you played yours?
No. Well, yes. I've played the first scenario in the core box a bunch of times.
Yeah.
With different people. I actually played it on TTS. It must have been during COVID, because I played it on TTS on my own for some reason. I loved it, so I went and bought it. No idea why I did that. Very random. But then I've played the first scenario loads of times with different people, and we've played it at work a bunch as well. They love this one, and we've never beaten the first scenario.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought we did quite well. We played it 4 player.
We did.
I don't rattled through it and did it.
I don't know how that happened. It's not an easy game. It shouldn't happen like that.
Right. Maybe we did something wrong. I don't know. But
I don't think so. I couldn't think what it was. But we were all only about half insane, which never happens.
Yeah, we didn't go up the tracks very much, did we? And
no.
But we were still rolling loads of dice. You start off sort of fairly puny, don't you? And then you kind of get more equipment and more abilities and stuff, and then suddenly you're rolling like 5 dice and you got loads of rerolls and things like that. So it builds up really nicely, so that you feel more powerful.
At first you're thinking, well, there's absolutely no way that we can take this guy down. He's got 24 health or something ridiculous, and we have to do that 4 times. Are you crazy? But then by the end of the game, you're so powerful that you can do 24 damage in 1 turn. Okay, actually, maybe this is doable. But I really like the mechanic of getting more and more insane, and the more insane that you get, the more that's how you level up your abilities. Is as you go up that insanity track, you level up each of your abilities. But if you hit the end of the insanity track, then you're dead. That's game over. So normally in our case we got nowhere near it, but normally you're really trying to manage the end, like trying to push it as far as you can to really get leveled up, but without dying. So that you can get powerful enough to just do a massive attack on the old one before you die. Usually as well, it's normally everybody is dead. Often, if you win, it's the last person alive doing a Hail Mary. Right, I just have to do as much damage as I can on my last turn because I am going to die as soon as it's the enemy turn. But,
so even though this is a retail version, it comes with loads of cool minis. The minis are great. Got loads of monsters in there, plastic miniatures for the characters. All the artwork and the boards, everything are really good. It's got like a kind of player aid that comes with it. It tells you the turn summary and all the cards and story and everything's really good. So I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to playing some more scenarios and mixing in the other bad guys to see how that one works as well. So I had a great time with this one. I can see why people really like it. And I guess, I don't know if it's possible, but I guess you'd be able to mix and match different boxes as well. So
you absolutely can. So between the scenarios and the old ones, you can play any with any of them. So you can buy, I think, extra old ones on their own as well.
Oh, that was one thing I was going to mention. The character that I picked, the strongman. You get like 3 tracks with the special upgrades. The bottom one on mine was to do with fire. If you're going through fire, you get an extra roll or something like that. But in the scenario that we played, we didn't have any fire.
No.
So that'll probably come into effect later on. But that was a weird thing that I spotted. That I kind of had one track that I didn't even need.
It's weird that there was an ability that did literally nothing. Depending on what, I mean, the first scenario in the core set has fire. I can tell you that. There's fire everywhere. That one's fun. So, but presumably there's a different scenario in that box that uses fire. I would imagine. So
or maybe it's in the other Elder God box or something. I'm not sure. But
maybe because the gods often have their own abilities and tokens and stuff which they interact with.
So that was what we played. Cthulu Death May Die. So what you've been playing recently? Have you played any games?
So I guess my top game that I've been playing at the moment is Agemonia. Have you come across this or heard of it?
No, I don't think so.
So this is a game that was kickstarted a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, something like that. And it's another big narrative campaign game. You know how I love those. But this one has each scenario has a book. You know, kind of like Jaws of the Lion, how they started doing Gloomhaven. It's in a book. Each map.
The map is
it's all drawn out, and you can move between the different squares and do stuff. And there are monsters, the usual stuff. But this one's done some really cool extra things with it. For a start, the world that they've built is just brilliant. I just love it. It's great. It's fantasy, but it's not your usual stuff. It's not your elves and your dwarves. They're all different kind of races and different stories based in it. And the characters that you're playing each have their own backstories, which are all online, and they've done voice acting for each of them. And they're just great. I would recommend just going in and reading them or listening to them because they're just brilliant. They're just really well written and really interesting stuff. The guy that I'm playing he just built a stone. It's these, and there are a bunch of these guys in the world who have runes carved on them, and that's their memories. That's how they remember stuff. They have these runes carved into them. But this guy, all of his runes have been chiseled off, so he's just blank and he can't remember anything, and he doesn't know who he is. But we keep hearing these rumors about this stone guy from the past who was a complete jerk and did loads of really bad stuff. And I'm just, am I the bad guy? It's just really awkward. Oh no, I think it might be me. I don't know. Maybe I don't want to remember. And he keeps going to the pub to try and forget stuff. He drinks to try and get the stuff off him. And it's just so interesting. And there's another character who's a bird person, a bird lady. That's right. And she has the skull of her dead grandmother that she carries around, who she asks for advice repeatedly, and who gives her really dodgy advice. And we're starting to wonder: is it really her grandmother? Why are they telling us to do these things? This doesn't make any sense. It's so weird. It's just been really fun. And the scenarios are interesting as well, because you have a map that you're working through, and you're trying to achieve objectives, so trying to get to certain places and get things done. Usually it's not just killing all the monsters like you usually get in Gloomhaven, but you're trying to do a certain thing. And as you move around the map, there are kind of points that when you're a certain distance away, you can interact with them, and there'll be cards that you get out of a deck. So if it's something far away, you might see a door or something in the distance, and when you can turn over the card and it'll tell you a bit about it, and maybe it's a dice check. Maybe you can use a strength test to try and break through it or something. Right. And then if you do, maybe you draw another card, and maybe that puts something down on the map, which then changes the map. Right. Maybe you've opened something, and maybe there's a room beyond. Maybe there's a chest in that. Yeah. Maybe you can interact with that if you go and walk up to it. So the map will sort of change. You kind of look at it and kind of guess what happened. Maybe there was some cobwebs in one corner, and maybe you shouldn't go over there, because if you do, it'll definitely be a giant spider. But somebody always does anyway, not naming any names. Yeah. Just to see, maybe there'll be something interesting. Maybe it'll be a giant spider. Yeah, but there might be something interesting over that. So everybody kind of splits up trying to look at this. Oh, there's something over there. Maybe I'll go and look at that. And the whole thing is just really, I very highly recommend it. It's just really interesting the way they put everything together. They put a lot of thought into it. In the world and in all of the scenarios that you're doing. It's not just the usual kind of just go into this area and kill everything and then you can move on. They've got some really interesting stuff going on there that you have to work through to figure out how to get to the next stage. So
you say it comes with an app then? It's like an app?
There is an app. You don't have to use the app, but that can keeps track of everything that's happening in the world and which missions you've unlocked, and you're standing with different groups of people who are in the world. It keeps track of all that sort of thing, and it does some of the voices for you. It's a bit weird in what it does and what it doesn't. Sometimes you'll get to a bit and it's just not going to read this bit, so we'll have to dig the book out and read it ourselves. Fine. But it does each the introductions scenarios.
I can see why they did that, because I've played some app games before, and sometimes you think, why have I even got the board out? It's all on the app.
Yeah.
So you do want a bit of interaction with the board and the characters and what you're doing on there, don't you? So maybe it's something to do with that.
Useful to keep track of things, but with Mansions of Madness, I had that in particular, that it did just feel like you were playing a game on the iPad, and just for some reason you were replicating it in physical form, but it didn't actually mean anything.
Right.
But it doesn't use the app too much. Okay. You don't have to use it. Yeah,
it's just that nice balance of just keeping track of all the bookkeeping stuff. Yeah, the
bits that it will read out, it does a really good job of that. So
So my next one then is a game called Ancient Knowledge. This is from Yellow, and it's basically a card game. Each player gets a board, and there's 6 different slots. You're playing cards into your slots. And when you play a card, a lot of the time they'll come with knowledge attached to them, which are little tokens. So I might play a card in slot number 5, and it's got 5 tokens on it. And then at the end of your turn, all of your cards in your row will slide down to the left. So the goal of the game is to try and recover this ancient knowledge and write it down and remember it before it drops off the end of your row. Because if it drops off the end of if the card drops off the end of the row and it's still got these tokens on it, they're worth negative points at the end of the game. So you're trying to find combos to take off the knowledge or push them back over to the right, so you've got a bit more time to take the tokens off. There's various different combos where they'll interact with other types of cards, so you'll get points, you'll get bonus points depending on the type that it is, whether it's a building or some of the structure. And then also there's some cards that will affect other players as well, so sometimes it'll say put a couple of tokens on there, one of their cards, so you can drop a couple of ancient knowledge tokens on their cards just before it drops off, and suddenly they're racing to try and get rid of them before it drops off. So dropping off's not too bad. It's only worth -1 point for each token that drops off. So the first couple that you get, you think, oh, it's not too bad, I can cope with that. I'll easily get that back with points that I'm making from the stuff that I'm completing. But as you go through the game, obviously it's building more and more, and you compare it to other people then and saying, well, he's got 10, I've got 7, so I'm not too bad. Oh, he's got 20. But somewhere in the deck there's a card that says if you've got 20 ancient knowledge on your board, take 15 off. So maybe you might want to get loads so that you can display this card and pay it off. But it does that really cool thing where to pay for the card that you want to play, so when it's your turn you play a card out, you discard cards from your hand to pay for it. So the more powerful ones, obviously, if you have to discard 4 cards to get rid of it, all of the cards are unique and they're all really good and useful in their own way. So it's that really tricky thing of, I need to discard 2 or 3 cards to pay for this card, but they're all really good and I want to keep them all. So which ones do I want to get rid of?
Decision.
Which ones I want to keep? Yeah. Some cards will allow you to draw extra cards. So that's one of the actions you can do, is draw a couple of extra cards. So is it worth doing that just to get some to pay for something? But then you draw something that's really cool that fits in what you're doing. So it's kind of got that combo thing where, a lot of the cards interact with each other and you can get kind of a little engine going, which is how one of the guys won. He was kind of, got a little combo going with a couple of cards and just kept repeating that every time, and that got him loads of points. So it's got these little combinations that you can do that's really good. It's a really good, it's a good game. We enjoyed it. Played it at 3-player, and that was fine, but it did go a smidge too long at 4-player. I think it took us just over 90 minutes at 4 players. So definitely the more you've got, the longer it's going to take. But even though there's a bit of downtime where you're figuring out what you want to do for your next turn, you're kind of thinking about, I've got 2 actions and which cards you're going to discard. So it's not too bad. And I think once you've played it a couple of times, that'll obviously come down because you'll know what cards you're looking for. So we quite enjoyed it. The artwork's really nice, all the components are really nice. Everybody has like a nice thick cardboard board that shows you where your rows are, and again it's got slots for like artifacts that do different things that give you special bonuses and things like that. It's got a little turn order thingy on it, so you can see like what actions you can do on your turn, player aids and things like that. So all comes in a nice little box as well. It's not like one of these massive boxes, it's quite a small box. We quite enjoyed it.
It's always weird how important that is. I got a game recently which I backed on Kickstarter, and the box is literally 3 times bigger than I was expecting. It's just unnecessary, and it doesn't even fit in a Kallax cubby. It sticks out. You could easily put all of these cards in a small sort of board game box, not even like a normal square box, but one of the smaller ones. All the cards would go in a box like that. So why have you done this? It's so unnecessary. It just looks like but it's so hard sometimes that you don't get a sense of scale. And I've seen the pictures of it, I just assumed it was that size. When the box arrived, like, what is this? It's massive.
Some of the cards are better towards the end of the game rather than at the start, so you might discard some early on.
Hoping they'll come back around.
But it's fun finding all little combos and little building your engine. So that was good. Ancient knowledge, that was.
Oh, it's good to hear about. I heard about that when it was at some convention. I can't remember which one it was. One of the American ones. People were talking about it, but then it kind of vanished.
I think it looks like a quick card game. It looks like like half an hour, 45-minute game, but it's not. It's a bit more in depth and longer than that.
I guess the question is it worth the extra time? Is it? Enough going to warrant.
So we played with Samuel, and Samuel said he thought it was a little bit too long, but then I played with Ian as well, and Ian was saying that it was long, but in between turns you were thinking about what you were going to do, what you were going to discard, you got all your cards in your hand, what you were going to play, so he didn't find it an issue. So some players it might be a smidge too long and maybe a little bit too long in between turns. But like I say, I played it at 3-player and it didn't seem to have that problem, so maybe it's like a 4-player 4-player issue. But
sometimes, it's not always the best to play a maximum play count.
Yeah, I quite like to try a 2-player. Maybe it'll be a nice little.
Maybe, and then it's just back and forth. Then, it might work better like that.
That's the only complaint, really.
Yeah, it's just frustrating when games like that happen. When we played Creature Comforts recently, which had a similar sort of problem. Have you played it? Sort of, it's a very simple.
No, I don't think so.
Dice placement game, which is most of it is simultaneous play. When you put your dice down on different spots, and it doesn't matter where everybody else goes. There's no blocking or anything. It's quite a friendly game. But somehow it just took ages. I think it took us 2 or 3 hours to play this game. It's kind of a kid's worker placement game. I think, why is this game taking so long? It doesn't make any sense. But it was a great game, and it looks amazing. All the pieces are beautiful. The artwork's really nice, and has all the different resources, like the wooden, different shapes, and it's a gorgeous game. It's nice, but it does not warrant nearly 3 hours. Which is just a shame. Yeah. But maybe I should try playing it solo.
Any other games you want to talk about?
The other game which I'd like to give a quick mention to is Conservas, which is a very different game, which is a solo-only game from Salt and Pepper by Scott Arms. He's done a lot of solo games. He's done a lot of the Button Shy games. He did Spawnopolis and a whole bunch of these things anyway. And Salt and Pepper have done a few solo-only games. They did Resist and Witchcraft recently as well. So this is kind of a line of theirs that they're doing. But I was really taken with this one. So Conservas is basically tinned seafood / fish from the coast of Spain, Portugal, which I wasn't particularly aware of. But apparently this is a thing. And they've made a game about it, which works it's a bag building game. So you've got a bag of tokens, a lot of which are water and the rest are fish. So this is kind of the sea that you're fishing out of. And then you have a boat, so you're pulling tokens out of the bag. You pull a certain number out, and you can decide how many to put on your boat and how many that you can put in the water. And then depending on what fish you put on the boat, you can either can them and basically send them to market and get money for them, or you can spend them for cards, which will give you abilities for the rest of the game or one-time things that you can do. And then with the money that you get, if you sell some fish to market, you can buy more boats. So then you can pull more tokens out and potentially fish more to sell more to the market. Yeah. But the kind of cool thing about the game is that whichever fish you don't have on your boat and are still in water at the end of the turn will breed. So you put more tokens of those types. For every 2, you then put an extra 1 in. If there were 3, you put 2 in. No, it's less than that. But anyway, you get more fish put in the bag. So it's this really interesting balance that you end up with, that you can't overfish or you'll just run out of tokens completely, and then there's nothing that you can do. But so you need to build more. So you need to sell stuff and get more boats, but at the same time you need to keep populating the sea, or you'll just run out and you won't be able to carry on. And the end of the game also depends on how much money you've got, and that you've got a certain amount of fish left in the sea. So you have to count out how many that you've got left. So you're trying to meet certain criteria depending on which scenario that you're playing. So you've got a book of scenarios which will give you a starting amount of fish in your bag and starting amount of money, and then the criteria that you have to meet by the end of a certain number of rounds. It was just really interesting. It was a really interesting little puzzle of trying to keep everything going. It was the first time I played it. I think I was too conservative, and I ended up with too many fish in the sea. I didn't make any money. Yeah. And then the next time I went the other way, and I made enough money, but I'd run out of one particular kind of fish. Trying to get that balance was really difficult. Yeah, I just thought it was a really different game. It's a very, very different theme from anything I've come across before, and an interesting.
How long do you think it takes to play? How long do you think it'll take?
I think it was about half an hour.
All right. Perfect. Like that. Perfect kind of lunchtime game then, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It doesn't take up a lot of space, particularly. Yeah. Because you're just pulling stuff out of the bag. You just need enough space for your boats and the book. But yeah, it would definitely fit into that kind of category.
I know a lot of Scott Arms games come in those little wallet of holders. How big is this game? How is it coming in a box? Is it like a box one, or does it come with like?
It is a box game. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So a kind of a small square box, not a huge game.
Yeah.
But you definitely need some table space to put it on.
And I presume it gets harder as you play through the scenarios.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think you. Yeah. So there were different. I was only playing with two kinds of fish, so there were different kind of tokens that you can. It tells you what tokens to put in at the start of the game, and there are different ones that you can put in. So yeah, later scenarios you'll need to probably, I guess, make more money. Yeah. And there were different difficulty settings as well of how much money you manage to make on different scenarios. So you beat different difficulty levels as you go through the book.
Okay, so that's the games we've been playing. Our question of the month this month is about painting miniatures. So I guess a lot of board games nowadays come with miniatures, whether that be models or scenery or whatever it might be. Obviously, war games with your armies and things, Warhammer stuff that comes with miniatures as well. So you suggested this topic that we talked about.
Yeah.
I've had a bit of experience. I've painted some of the stuff that I've got, but have you been painting a lot recently? Is that what prompted it, or is it just something that
it sort of came from something that happened at the Bring and Buy? I had my copy of poor old ISS Vanguard for sale.
Yeah.
I do feel sorry for it. I apologise. I weren't that terrible. But that had in it. There were only 8 or 9 miniatures, something like that, which came with the game. So you get 2 for each of the different kind of factions, different jobs that you can have on the ship. So when you're moving around the planet, you can use a miniature to do it. So there aren't very many miniatures in the game. So I painted them because it was quite straightforward to do. But when I was selling it, somebody wanted to have a look at it, and they opened it up, and they were like, "Oh my god, it's painted!" And I'm like, "Oh wow, it's amazing." It's not amazing. It's fine. I've painted it fine. It's not great. It's like, "Oh, this must be worth loads more than that," and it really isn't. There's this weird kind of place where you are with painting games. Unless you paint a game really well, it doesn't go up in value. If anything, it goes down. People don't really want them painted, especially if they want to paint it themselves, because then they have to strip it off and start all over again. Who wants to do that? So it's kind of a weird point. Like I was saying, that the game that the Kickstarter that I'm going to sell at Aircon, I hadn't even taken out a shrink, let alone painting it, because it's a game. It's Interest by Odyssey, which is sort of similar to Kingdom Death Monster, if you've heard of that. It's sort of famously expensive game. It's that kind of vibe, and I knew that if I painted it, nobody would buy it off me. So it really put me off even starting with it, because I knew if I painted it, then I'm basically stuck with it, and I'll have to play it, and I wouldn't want to play it without painting it either, because the miniatures are really nice. So
I think it does add a lot to the actual gameplay of it if they are painted. Not to take anything away from the game, but it just adds a little more, a little more pizzazz to your tabletop if they are painted. Especially
now that I do paint, I wouldn't want to play a game with just grey miniatures. It would bother me. And certainly there's no point painting it afterwards. So you have to get it done sort of beforehand, even if it's just a wash, which can look great on its own.
Well, that's one of the questions I had. I mentioned that Foundation of Rome, it came with a sun drop already done. I've seen a few recipes, and a few people are trying to replicate that kind of washed kind of look. Sometimes it turns out pretty well and pretty close to what you see done on the miniatures. Sometimes not, but I mean, even it kind of brings out the details, doesn't it, a little bit, if it's just got a basic kind of wash on.
Even just doing that makes a big difference. That comes up quite a lot these days when you buy miniatures games on Kickstarter. Certainly, a lot of them have this kind of sun drop option of just getting them washed, because then you can get away with doing that if you and that looks good enough. With some of the Agemonia similarly has a few miniatures for its characters. The monsters are just standees, or at least I didn't pay out for them. The monsters, because I knew I'd never get around to painting it, and therefore would never get around to playing it. So I just painted the characters, and there were actually something like 10, I think, characters that you can play. So I painted all of them in just a grayscale, just painted them grey and washed them and dry brushed them a bit white, so they're just basically like stone statues.
So,
and then
the four that we
a little bit. So it's enough that they look kind of interesting. And then I put colour on the four that we actually use. But doing something like that can be enough that it kind of it pops more on the table without having to put a lot of work into it.
Some miniatures already come pre-painted, and I think previously, like before, some of them have been pretty poor. They just kind of slapped on. But I have played a few games recently which have been pre-painted figures, and they've been pretty good quality. I know we played some kind of robot arena game. I think that was something.
Oh yeah, and kind of the one that you mean. Figures, they look really nice.
They're all like pre-done. And they looked pretty good to play with.
Robot Quest Arena.
That was it. Yeah.
Thinking of. Yeah.
We Cthulu Death May Die, which we spoke about earlier. I've started painting that.
Right.
That's got some nice miniatures in it.
I painted the corset of that, and it was quite easy to do because a lot of the miniatures, I think the cultists, I literally primed them red,
right,
and then washed them, and that was it. They were done.
It's just
that saved a lot of time. But a lot of the monsters, I think Cthulhu again, I just primed him green and washed him, and that was done. But they were really nice miniatures. They were good to paint. So
I do find it fun. It's quite relaxing, sitting down and concentrating on something for an hour, and you can put a video on in the background, make yourself a cup of tea, or have a glass of whiskey nearby or something, and just just concentrate on something for a little bit to progress. I find that when I first started as well, I wasn't really happy with the results, but you do improve quickly. The more you do it, the more you paint. The better you get, and the more you learn, kind of thing. Yeah,
I think it is easier than it looks. I know at first I was really intimidated by it. I'll never be able to paint something like that. I can't paint all that detail. But you don't need to paint the detail. If the miniature is good, then it'll essentially paint itself. Once you wash it, all the detail comes out, and you're done. Or just dry brushing it will pick it out, and you don't actually need to paint every single little thing. It's actually easier than that. Or at least to make it look good enough.
Speed paints, yes or no?
I haven't actually tried them yet. I did. Right, okay. I think I bought some, because I'm really bad at skin for some reason. It never comes out very well. So I bought some skin to try. I still haven't got around to trying. Have you been painting with those?
Yeah. I think it's improved my painting quite a lot. I bought a box set of like 8 base colours just to start off with. I've added a couple more since then, but you can get like a box set with sort of the basics in, and they work really well. They're a really good shortcut to. I think they're better off like as a base. You can start off as a base, get that colour on there, and then you kind of build it up from there. That kind of works for me. But once I've done that, it saves a lot of time. That first initial step of just base cutting and get your colours sort of put in and things. Yeah, it's really, really handy, I find.
Do you find now that you buy games to paint?
No, but I do look forward to painting them. If I do get a game with something like that in it, I can think, I can, that'll be a few evenings work painting that, and it's something to look forward to. So not specifically going for those kind of games, no, but I do find that, it's something that I do look forward to if they've got nice figures in there.
So I went through a bit of a curve, I guess. At first, I was put off buying miniatures games because I wouldn't paint them, and it would just be grey plastic. So I didn't really want to buy them. But then once I started painting, then I bought arguably too many games to paint that I don't have time for. And then after a while, it puts me off again now. It's like, I've got enough to paint. I don't want a huge game with loads of miniatures that I have to paint. And now I'll often go for the standee option that I'll just paint the characters and just leave everything else.
It can be a bit time consuming. I bought,
once you've got a lot.
I bought Massive Darkness 2.
Oh wow, yeah.
And that's got a load of miniatures. There's like 6 monsters of each type, and then all the heroes and then the boss monsters as well. So I painted it all. It took quite a long time, but I did enjoy doing that. But it can be quite a long process, especially if it's got a lot in there. I do find that YouTube helps a lot. I've learned quite a lot from watching like people paint stuff on YouTube, especially the Massive Darkness ones. The guy that I found that was painting that exact figure
Right. Yeah.
So you could kind of follow along with him as he was painting it and do the same kind of, same kind of techniques that he was using. So that was really helpful.
Yeah, I think for Warhammer, there were a lot of videos for that, and they'll tell you exactly which paints to use for this bit. Yeah, they're like proper tutorials. So paint this with this color.
Use it using the Citadel
obviously you have to buy them all.
Paintbrushes and all that stuff that they've got. Yeah.
Obviously, it won't work. But yeah, there are a lot of different options now as well. It's interesting. I think a lot of people have kind of gone through that transition because you're getting more and more games now that have like not just standees but like acrylic standees.
Yeah.
Have you played any games with these? I played Vagrant Song last year.
Oh yeah.
Another campaign game that has these really beautiful acrylics with artwork on, which just look great.
Yeah, we played Starship Captains, and that's a similar thing. It's a cooperative game that's got like figures in, but they're all like flat plastic kind of with printed on artwork. But they look great. Yeah, they look really good.
They're really nice. Then you can get some nice artwork on them. They look cool.
Yeah.
I got another Kickstarter last week or the week before of Iridia, which is another big campaign game. But that has pre-painted miniatures, which you don't get very much at all, which are pretty good. They're pretty well done. They're not perfect. There are a few splodges here and there. But they do the job. But they've done something quite cool with those miniatures. Actually, they're just each of the bodies is your class, so your clothes and what weapon you're carrying. So there's a cleric and there's a bard and there's a warrior. You have different weapons and whatever. But then they don't have heads. The heads come separately. So the heads are all the different races that you can be. You can be a dwarf or an elf or whatever, and you clip in the head depending on which what type of character you want to play into the body to make your miniature. And they have small versions of everybody as well. So if you want to play a dwarf or a halfling, then you can be a half size person of your particular class. Which I thought was quite a neat idea.
So do the heads come off again afterwards? It's not like fixed in there. You don't have to glue it.
No, you can just pull them out again.
All right, cool.
Play something else. We'll play as a terrifying headless cleric if you want to.
That would kind of put me off a little bit if you got to build a model and then you stick a chainsaw on his arm or something, but then in the game itself you're playing with a gun instead of a chainsaw. It kind of
they did do that in a little bit. Oathsworn. They had models where they had an armory pack that you could buy for extra money, obviously, where they were basically interchangeable arms. So depending on what weapon you were using, you could take it off. You could take the arm off, take the sword off, and give them an axe instead, depending on what you happen to be using. So that was quite cool, but expensive. So.
There are quite a few board games as well that only come with like a couple of miniatures. So like I'm thinking of maybe Unmatched. I don't know if you played any of those, but basically it comes with one miniature or maybe a couple of tokens or something. So if you want to try painting, and you don't want loads to do, you could get something like that, or something that's only got a couple of characters, 4 or 5 characters to play as.
Yeah, I've painted some odd little bits and pieces.
You'd have to do like 30 monsters then.
Yeah. It's a lot to if you buy something like Massive Darkness. It's a lot to get stuck into.
It can be a bit of a commitment, can't it? Because you start one and then you think, I don't really want to play it with like half painted.
Yeah.
Or just one or two miniatures painted. I want to do the whole lot.
But sometimes it's nice just to paint some of the extra bits that you get with board games. I played the Sleeping Gods. Comes with a little boat that you move around the map, and that's it. It's just a little boat. But I painted that so it sort of stood out on the sea rather than it just being grey. So it's nice to be able to do little bits
even
like
if it's not figures. I've got Lost Ruins of Arnak, and that comes with like little plastic tablets with inscriptions in. So I gave those a quick wash to bring out the kind of inscriptions on it. They look they look really nice. So there's all like 20 or 30 in there, and you just wash them all and then give it quite a quick wipe down.
It looks so much better just doing that. Such an improvement. I did that with some coins once, some coins from Tainted Grail. I think they were gold coins from the Kickstarter, which were really nice, but they were just really gold and shiny. Like this game was kind of gritty and dirty, so I just gave them a wash, and it just brought out all of the carving sort of in the metal. It just made them look a lot better. So things like that can be a big improvement. So you don't have to paint a whole
A whole army or whatever.
Army.
Yeah, you can just do like little bits here and there.
Yeah.
I did find that some of the YouTube tutorials as well that I watched weren't that great. Sometimes they just slap some paint on and you look at the end result and you think, well, it's not really, it doesn't really look that great, or I'd probably do some things different. So there are some that you can follow that'll, they'll lead you down the wrong path or won't look as good. But one thing you can do as well, one thing I've done is Google what other people have painted as well, see what colour choices they've picked and how they've painted it. You go to Google Images and search for a particular game.
I'll do that. So just go on to Board Game Geek and just see what other people have done with the particular models.
Yeah, for Cthulu Death May Die, one of the boss monsters has got like eyes all over it. So I kind of Googled, the pictures, and like a version of an eye came up that I thought looked really cool. So I'm going to try and paint it similar to that. Just like
eyes are my nemesis. I still don't really paint eyes.
Tricky. Yeah.
All of my characters are just really sleepy, or just happen to have their eyes closed, like in a bad photograph. I just don't bother.
I bought a pen set. I can't remember which one it was now, but it came with a pen. And it's basically like a black pen with like a tiny little dot on the end. And I think it's just for doing eyes. So you basically put the eyes in, and then you just do a dot in the middle of the eye for the iris. I haven't actually tried it yet, but I presume that's what it's for.
No, that does make sense. It's really
that small,
hard
isn't it?
Even doing it the right size and getting it in the right place, or they just look cross-eyed, or it's a minefield.
Yeah,
it's definitely the hardest thing to do.
I don't bother. I just paint a bit of skin texture over it and leave it at that.
Yeah,
nobody's looking at it that close.
No one's going to look that carefully,
No.
Or just stick to monsters that don't have eyes, or have a billion eyes, and then.
This one has. It's got quite a few. The big monster as well. It's quite a big miniature. So it's not a miniature. It's quite tall. So it's really easy. It's not like a tiny little figure that you got to paint. It's quite detailed, and it's quite a big figure. So painting that kind of stuff, I quite enjoy as well, because it gives you a bit more.
It's often easier to paint bigger models.
A lot easier. Yeah.
Sometimes you can go. I painted Blood Rage quite a while ago.
Oh yeah, got some brilliant figures.
Yeah, some really nice models to paint in that.
In there.
Yeah, and the little dudes have loads of detail on them. They're actually really nice miniatures. It's Simon again, isn't it? Who always do a good job. But there's a troll, I think an ice giant maybe, in that, who I painted white and then washed in blue. Like, okay,
right,
that's done then. It's such a huge model, and it was so easy to paint. And then stuff like that can be really satisfying. I really like doing water as well. That can be quite satisfying to do, just layering out different colours of blue into white. It can look really effective for something that's actually not that hard. But painting the big ones is definitely really satisfying. I like painting the big ones for the ones in the Corsair, Cthulu and Hastra, I think. So he was a cool model. He had loads of tentacles and stuff. With little teeth on. That's right.
Yeah, you can kind of spend as much time as you want in it as well, can't you? If you want to spend 6 months painting one figure, you can do and get it like really perfect, or you can just like slap it on and make sure for the table, and then that we're good to go, moving on to the next one.
There's definitely a curve of, you don't really have to put that much effort in to make it look good. And then just each bit more effort you put in, it gets by the end it's tiny improvements from an extra hour.
Little by little.
Depending on how much effort you want to put into it.
Definitely do enjoy it. It's something that's like I said, quite relaxing and good fun. And they do look nice when they're on the table. If somebody brings it in, definitely. When you play the game and everything's all nicely painted and it all looks beautiful. Definitely rewarding at the end of it to get us to the table.
Stands out more on the table as well. It often helps. You can just tell like immediately which character is which and where they are. If they're all painted, or even if you just painted the bases different colours, that really helps. I actually got into painting for Frostgrave, which was a tabletop war game with like an open rules set, and you can use any miniatures for it. It's completely open. You can do whatever you want. You just have a list of like characters and different soldiers that have different weapons, and you can use miniatures that are holding those weapons, but you don't even have to do that. If you don't want to, you can have a whole army of mice or anything. So I just picked up some random models from a drawer in Wargames Emporium. I just found some dwarves and ended up making a warband out of those. The warband's only 10 as well, so I didn't need many models. But for that, I didn't feel like I was ruining a miniature either. This was sort of a random miniature that nobody wanted. It was just sort of thrown in a random bargain drawer. I just picked them out. So that was really useful for just giving it a go and seeing how it came, rather than sort of having a board game and being sort of frightened about ruining it or committing to doing all of it. You can just pick up some really cheap bits and pieces from like a board game convention such as ChillCon, for instance, that kind of place. That would be perfect for this. And just pick some pens up and give it a go. That's what I'd recommend.
Cool. Okay. Well, that's all my painting knowledge anyway. I hope we've inspired you to give it a go, at least, even if you just do it on some practice models or something. But I think that's it for this episode. So Lizzy, thank you very much for coming on. It's been good talking to you. Thanks for
thank you for having me.
It's been great. We've been the Sheffield Board Gamers. Catch us on the next episode. Goodbye for now.
Bye.